Hi. Well, it's another beautiful day, as always. And today I want to talk about your truth. Now, what is your truth? Well, it's the thing that you hold true, right? You believe in the way you look at the world, and you have a set of truths that go with that. And part of those truths are that you are a person, that you were born and that you're basically an animal. Okay? That's basically what we are, I mean, according to science. And these truths are fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but they are also a trap. And if you're trying to get awakened, which I hope you are, then you need to let go of your truth. Now, how do we do this? By accepting. There it goes once again, accepting. Accepting that your truth is a lie. I don't think you're living in a lie or being deceitful, but your truth is a lie. And as long as you hold on to your truth, okay, then you're going to suffer. Now, this has to do with a lot of things, but number one is really the way you see yourself. Now, we have sort of an idea of who we are, and that is your truth, right? And the only problem with holding on to a truth is that it's not a truth. It's a lie. Because you are not a person. You are not a job title. You are not anything like that. You are a soul. And as long as you believe that you're a person and have a job title and that that's part of who you are, then you're going to suffer. Now, I know this probably seems crazy or difficult to understand, but I'm going to try and help you understand it. If you let's say you have cancer, okay, and you're living with this death sentence, right? And some cancers can be cured, I don't know, but let's say yours can't. And so you're clinging on to who you think you are. But the problem is the cancer is going to take that away. Because the thing that dies when you die is who you think you are. You have an image in your mind of you. And when the image in the mirror stops matching that image, then you're going to be unhappy. Now, the way to not be unhappy, the way to not have a terrible, suffering death, is to accept that you are not that you are a soul. Now, I know that that's probably something that's hard to accept. I get that. But think of it this way. When you meditate and you get that feeling is your soul or your consciousness. That's what it is, okay? Or when you're riding down a mountain or you're flying through thin air after you jumped out of an airplane, okay? That feeling that you're getting is your soul, because for that one moment you cannot think, or you don't think, because everything's happening too fast. And you need to recognize that feeling as who you are. I know it's hard. We all think we're people and then we're have names and so on and so forth, but really those names don't really matter. Anyway, this holding on to what you think your truth is bad because it blinds you to what is. Being with what is really all that's important. And you can try to fight against what is, or deny what is, or blame someone about what is. Okay? That's all part of suffering. And every day, this is what happens in this world. Now, I don't want to make you feel unhappy because of this truth that you feel is you and you're holding on to it, but it's not you. These attachments are very squirrely, okay? Including the attachment of your truth, okay? And that's why I'm here to talk about them, because it's important. Because otherwise, we can't progress. We need to progress along the spiritual path. And no matter how many books you read about awakening, or even how many tapes you listen to, not that this is a tape, it's a video, it's still hard. But one of the things that you must do, or that you can do to make it easier, is to let go of these things that just aren't true. Anyway, that's what the whole thing's about. I'm not trying to tell anyone how to be in this life, okay? That's up to you. And so, therefore, it's really up to you what you're going to do, okay? But you have two choices. You can either be in suffering, or you can awaken. And that's it. Those are your two choices. Now, spiritual journey, okay, is about awakening. And once you get on the spiritual journey, you will start to feel the good feelings of awakening, because every little bit counts, okay? When you let go of one little thing, like how your coffee's supposed to be, okay? Then that's going to feel freeing. And everything you let go of is going to be freeing too. And freedom is what we're all about here. That's what we want to do. We want to get free. That's why spiritual enlightenment, or the spiritual path, is important. Because as long as we're not free, then we're going to be unhappy. Now, how to let go of your truth? By accepting that it's not true. I know it's hard to do, but that's the way it is. And so, that's the way it has to be. Other things that also get in the way of accepting what is stubbornness. You're stubbornly holding on to these things. And that can include being angry, or thinking you're right, or a variety of other things that you think that just aren't true. Now I know you think you're right about things, okay? And when someone challenges your rightness, and I'm not trying to challenge your rightness at all, I'm just trying to tell you what is. You get angry, okay? Because you think you're right. And this rightness is wrong. Sorry about that. My grandchild came into the room. Now, where was I? Oh, yes, being angry. We use these emotions to reinforce our own truth. That's what we do. Either we don't do it, the fake identity does it. And this rightness that we think we have just isn't so. Anyway, what I'm trying to say here is that all of these things work together to blind you to what is, okay? And that is why you suffer. And a big part of that is the truth that you think you have about who you are, which is not true. And so you suffer. Anytime that you make something a part of yourself that isn't true, you're going to suffer. That's the way it is. And if you are feeling bad about something, that's probably because something else is not true that you believe. And I don't mean to make anybody feel bad about what they're believing in, but that's just the way it is. Now, also, in addition to our anger and rightness, a few other things that come into play as well. All these things come into play to reinforce what we think is. Even though it's not what we think is, that's just the way it is. And, you know, every day we have to sort of accept things. You know, like that they didn't get your coffee right, or that they hurt you, or whatever it is. Okay? And that's part of life. But as long as we're holding on to and blaming others for what happened, then we're going to suffer. I understand it hurts when somebody hurts you. I totally get that. And, you know, that's the way it is. Pain is part of life. And by holding on to what happened in your life and making that a part of your truth, which is what we do, we're just reinforcing that bad thing that happened. That's all. Which I know we don't want to do, but that is what we're doing. So all this stuff revolves around what you think you are, who you think you are, because that is your truth. I know this stuff is difficult to understand. I know it can be confusing at times, but I'm doing the best I can to try and help you understand what is. Being with what is really what matters, okay? Because if you're fighting against that, fighting against what is, then you're going to suffer, okay? And I don't want that for anyone, but that is the way it is. And all these things that really reinforce our suffering, okay, are part of the truth that we think we have or we own. Okay? For instance, your rightness, your anger, your fear. And that's just the way it is. Sorry about that. The dog's loose. Now, I could complain about the dog being loose. I could complain about the grandchild coming in when I'm trying to do something important. I can absolutely do that. Okay? But then I would be attached to the silence of this moment. I would be attached to that I'm doing something important and that these beings, the dog and my grandchild, need to go and be someplace else because I'm doing something important. Okay? But it's far more important that they have their happiness and freedom and so on and so forth than that I do this. So that's why I pause the video and do the best I can to take care of the problem. Really holding on to these things that you complain about to yourself and others is a trap. And as long as you are holding on to these things, then you're going to be suffering. Okay? I don't want anyone to be in a trap, but that's just the way it is. Now, where was I before? Okay. So, all these different things, okay, which reinforce your truth that you think is true. And it can be a lot of things that do this, okay? Like I was saying before, fear. If you fear something, okay, like death, then that something is reinforcing your truth, okay? I know it's hard to understand, but that is what it is, okay? Maybe you fear pain, or maybe you fear the unknown. Whatever it is you fear, that's bringing the thing into your truth. You're making that thing that you fear part of your truth because that's the way it is. Okay? And as you do that, okay, you make yourself miserable. Because the thing you fear is not part of your truth. The thing you fear is outside of your truth. But because of the way in which we're built and because of the way we are, we just don't see that. Okay? And we hug that thing that we fear. We hug it to us. Ooh. Okay? I know you think you don't, right? You think, oh no, I don't do that. Well, you do. Because it's become part of your truth. Okay? Something happened to you a long time ago. I don't know what it was, but I'm sure it was bad. Okay? And now you fear the same thing from happening again. Right? And that is now part of your truth. And that fear is disabling. It's not helping you. But you can't let go of that fear because if you don't, then the thing that you fear, which is just ridiculous, is going to get you. Okay? That's what we think. Okay? Which is wrong. It's not going to get us. Okay? For instance, I had a son. And I let my son do what he wanted to do. Because I knew that God would take care of him. And that if anything happened to him, it was because that was the way it was. Okay? This is before I was awake. Okay? Plenty of other people fear what's going to happen to their kids. Okay? And they try to protect them by putting restrictions on them and not letting them have out of the house, ours, and so on and so forth. In fact, we're now living in a culture of fear, okay, for children. That's what's going on, okay? But God, okay, isn't in charge of your child. God isn't going to protect your child. I thought he would. I thought God would protect the child. Oh, let the child do what he wants. Okay? And, of course, that was proven to me on a few occasions. Anyway, the point is, this fear becomes a part of who you think you are. It becomes a part of your truth. And as long as you're holding on to this fear of things happening, then you are going to suffer. And that is just the way it is. I don't know the reasons for everything, but I do see in myself these things. And that's why I'm talking to you about them, because I don't have anything outside myself to tell me what to say to you. Okay? And I believe that the inner dimension is giving me the right words to say. Okay? Because that's where God is. God's with me. And all of these talks I'm giving you are because I have seen things in myself. I've seen how I fear. I've seen how I was angry. I've seen how I thought I was right. And I've seen a lot of other things about myself that were total bullshit. That's just the way it is. Okay? And that's the truth with you too. Okay? And you have to let go of this truth that you think is you, because it's not you. What it is what you think is you. And you know what? You can be wrong. Now, all these thoughts that are living in your brain are really just ephemeral. They rise, they come up, and then they fall away. Okay? Unless you fasten upon them, in which case they repeat over and over again. And this is also part of your truth. And, yeah, that's just the way it is. So these thoughts, they come up, they exist within you for a while, and then they fall away. And if you can let them go, okay, by realizing that they're not you, then they won't be there anymore. They'll stop coming up. They'll stop arising inside of your mind. Okay? And these thoughts are part of what is reinforcing your truth, because let's face it, we all think, right? And we think we know what the truth is, right? And so these thoughts are like forms, rising and falling, like the trees. We live on a really slow time scale, but in reality, the time scale is that the trees come up and the trees go down, the trees come up and the trees go down. That is what it really is, okay? Galactic time scales. And that is what's happening in your mind. The thoughts come up and then the thoughts go down. The thoughts come up and then the thoughts go down. And as this happens, you become entrapped by these thoughts because you think they are you. And that is what makes you unhappy. And that the same thing is true with your truth, because it's also a thought that you hold dear, right? So, in order to not hold these things as real truth, we need to let them go. And by accepting what is, acceptance is so powerful, we can let the truths go. Now, when you be okay with what is, okay, then that's a way of letting go. Because by clinging on to what you want, which we all do. It's a normal thing that everyone does. And trying to make the world to be the way you want it to be by using models in our brain, okay? Which is what it is. Okay? That traps you. That keeps you from being free. And that's really all that matters. Okay? If you're not free, then you are in a trap. You are in a box. And no matter what you think your truth is and how valid it is, it just doesn't matter because you're in a trap. And that's just the way it is. I don't want anyone to feel bad about that because it's a normal human experience. It's the human, thing that we have to do, that we have to see, feel. Okay? But there is a way out, and that is to awaken, to let go of these things. I know it's hard, believe me, it's very difficult, but you can do it. Okay? By realizing that these things aren't you. By realizing that you are not a person. You are a soul. And what you need to do, or what you need to try and do, you don't need to do anything, of course, is to accept what is. And you can start with very small little things, okay? Like your coffee, or like a variety of other things, okay? Now, I don't know what it is that you're thinking about, that you're caught on, but you kind of do know what it is because you're caught on it. And so it's important that you figure it out. Okay? And you can figure it out by really looking within, okay? To the true core of your being. And we do this through meditation, through going into the body's energy field. There are lots of other methods. And feeling that is you. I know that I have said a lot of things on this channel, and some of them probably have been wrong. I don't know. Okay? But I do know that when I feel that feeling that is me, when I feel my own consciousness, I also feel joy, peace. And this is available to you too. Well, I guess my time has come to an end. I love you all because you're me. We're all one thing. There's no separation between you and me. There's no separation between you and God and me. And when I say I love you all, I mean I really love you. Okay? I know that's hard to understand, but I love everything that is a life form, because underneath that life form is a soul. And I love the souls because I am a soul, and therefore I can't help but loving your soul. It's not yours, but you get the idea. All right, well, it's been a pleasure. Have a great life.